been so much crap thrown at the Carolina Hurricanes for, their system doesn't work and all this, blah, blah, blah. Like you just mentioned, the Florida Panthers, now there's some intricacies and stuff that are slightly different, Like, they don't want to get into, the minutia of, we're going to go, center over or center under in these breakouts. Not going to get into the minutia of all of that, but the core principles of their system, the Florida Panthers, it's similar to what the Carolina Hurricanes do. They both run a man-on-man defensive style system. Again, there's some small details and stuff that are definitely different, but the core principles of what they do, it's the same. It is. Just watch how they played last night. And there's stretches of the game last year where Edmonton got nothing. Nothing. And it took a couple grindy type goals to get them back in it. Some pucks that just squirt through the middle of the ice on the offensive end. That's how Ekholm scored to make it 3-2. The Arvidsson goal, same type thing. Arvidsson, I guess Bobrovsky, I should say, probably wants that goal back by Arvidsson. But nonetheless, and then you scored on the power play. It's just simply down to the execution. Now, it just also comes down to personnel. Do you have the players? Because if you look at Carolina Hurricanes roster at the Florida and compare it 1-for-1 for the Florida Panthers roster, 1-for-1, the Florida Panthers roster is just better. Not saying the Canes have bad players. You don't make it to a conference final because your team stinks. But 1-for-1 comparison, it's better. And there's a player that is going to be unrestricted free agent on July 1st, which ain't that far away. His name's Sam Bennett, who's the number 2 center for the Florida Panthers, behind Alexander Barkov. Alexander Barkov, by the way, just won another Selke Award. The Selke Award in the NHL is given to the best two-way forward in the NHL. So that means you're both great offensively, and most importantly, the best defensive forward is actually what it is. Not the best two-way forward, the best defensive forward in the NHL. And he also happens to be like a 100-point guy. So he's the best, you could say, two-way player in the NHL amongst forwards. Because he's the best defensive one, and he produces offensively. Now, best overall, it's still Connor McDavid. But nonetheless, speaking of those defensive forwards, we actually saw Jordan Staal was 10th in the Selke voting this year. Seth Jarvis was 11th in Selke voting this year. Both those guys were, last year, Jordan Staal was number 2 in the Selke. And Seth Jarvis was 8th. We saw Sebastian Aho was also 20th in Selke voting this year. Seth Jarvis actually got 2 first-place votes for the Selke Award as best defensive forward in the NHL. But you need to have guys that run down the middle of the ice. When you look at the system that the Florida Panthers run, their man-on-man system in the defensive end, same thing that the Carolina Hurricanes do. The reason why the center position is so valuable is because if you lose a face-off, you have to stay with the center that you lost the face-off to. You have to stay man-for-man with that guy. Even if you're running a zone system, the center is so valuable because you're helping down low defensively with the defensemen, with the blue liners, down low in the zone. So that center has to be able to play from corner to corner if you're in a zone system. If you're in a man-to-man, if you lose that face-off, you're sticking with that guy throughout. That's why the center position is so valuable. And the Canes need help there. The Canes need help there massively. Victoria, can we pull up the clip from Eric Tulsky talking about the need for the center position? Let me know you have that available, because the reason why I bring that up is a lot of it's tied into what we just had with one-timers just a moment ago, where people were asking about, hey, would the Carolina Hurricanes consider a trade for Rossi, a center from Minnesota? What about did they go for Sam Bennett? These types of things. And I asked specifically Eric Tulsky, the general manager of the Carolina Hurricanes, about improving that position yesterday on the show.
Yeah, I mean, we want to get better across the board. And center is a very important position. D is a very important position. You know, our wingers are a strength for our team. I think anywhere where we find opportunity to improve, we're going to take it. Center is obviously a focus around the league right now, and something that if we see opportunities there, we will definitely jump on them. But we do not want to pigeonhole ourselves as being narrowly focused on one thing and missing other opportunities. We want to take every opportunity we can.
So Florida, again, that's your standard, has Alexander Barkov, who is better than a point per game player. That's a center. You have Anton Lundell, who put up 45 points as their quote-unquote third center this year. And he's just 23 years old. He's young. Anticipate only getting better. And then you have Sam Bennett as their number 2. We saw Sam Bennett score twice yesterday in Game 1 for the Florida Panthers. Twice. The reason why Sam Bennett, if you look at his regular season stats, you'd be like, okay, he had 25 goals, 26 assists, 51 points. Well, look at his career. Well, he's only been, over. That's actually the first time he's ever been over 50 points in his career. What's the big deal about the guy? What's so special about him? Well, you know what's such a big deal about him is because what he does in the playoffs. And that's where the Carolina Hurricanes need to find a guy. Maybe it is Sam Bennett, but with every single goal that he continues to score in the postseason, Victoria, ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. More money there in the pocket.
Every time.
Every single time. He scored twice again yesterday. And it's the mentality that he has that wins in April, May, and June. Now, I know you sit there and say, well, Dennis, they lost Game 1 yesterday. How can you say it's winning? His name's written on the cup. You see what he did last year? You see what he's done this whole postseason? Do you see what he did yesterday? The first goal that was scored by Florida yesterday in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, it's a 4-3 overtime win by Edmonton, but the first goal that was scored by the Florida Panthers in the first period was Sam Bennett going to the front of the net, drawing the attention of two guys, gets his skate kind of sort of kicked out from behind him a little bit, unintentionally, but he knew exactly where he was. Falls down into the net, or falls down into Stuart Skinner, the goaltender for the Edmonton Oilers.
By, quote, accident.
I can't control where I fall.
No, he knew where gravity was taking him.
Hey, it just happened to pull me in that direction. So that's something that it happened. Guess what? He falls into Skinner. Skinner's knocked down. Shot comes. It hits off of Bennett's leg and goes in the net. And Skinner can't do anything about it because he's got a guy laying on top of him, basically. And so, well, wait, let's go to goalie interference. So, well, no, actually, the defenseman bumped me down. He knocked me down into the goalie. Not my fault. You cry about it. Goal stands. Sure enough, Florida scores another quick one right after that. Before you know, it's 2-1 Florida. Then we actually saw the skill off of a rush where Sam Bennett was able to actually get the puck on a little quick 2-on-1, goes forehand, scores, or backhand forehand scores. This postseason, we have seen Sam Bennett already in 18 games have 12 goals and 8 assists this postseason alone. They've played 18 games. He's a point per game this postseason. If you just simply go back just these last 3 years, 3 runs to the Stanley Cup final, 3 runs, including already a hoisting of the cup as well. In 57 games, this is 2023, 2024, and this year in 2025, including last night, 57 games, 24 goals, 23 assists. To give you a context over an 82-game season, that's 35 goals, 33 assists. That's a 68-point regular season pace. That's far better than the 51 points he had this year. Far better. He produces in the postseason. To give you comparison, who is the quote-unquote number 2 center for the Carolina Hurricanes this year? Or for most of it, tried to be, was Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, in about 54 playoff games for the Carolina Hurricanes. In 4 seasons with the Canes, 54 postseason games for Jesperi Kotkaniemi. You know how many goals he has, Victoria? 3.
Yep. 3
in 4 seasons. That's supposed to be your number 2 center.
That's not good.
So you look at what Florida has produced in the production they have from their number 2 center in the postseason in Sam Bennett, and you look at the Carolina Hurricanes and the production that they get from their number 2 center, who is a healthy scratch in a game this postseason. You look at the production, it ain't even close. It's not even close.
And Kokoniemi's had so much time, too, to get things going, straighten things out, get comfortable, fill in the blank. Rod's been supporting him the whole time. It's just frustrating. Nothing's working.
It hasn't been working. So, again, I'll go back here for his time with Carolina. I know he started his career with Montreal. But if you look at his time in Carolina, again, postseason, 54 games, 3 goals, 11 assists, 14 points. Sam Bennett, this postseason alone, has 12 goals and 6 assists for 18 points in 18 games. And Kokoniemi was signed to be your number 2 guy. Kokoniemi is making $4.82 million this year. You know how much Sam Bennett is making for the Florida Panthers? You know what his cap hit was this year, Victoria? 4.42. Wow. So this guy was actually making slightly less, about $400,000 less than Jesperi Kokoniemi.
Yikes.
So when you pay Kokoniemi that contract, this is the type of production you were expecting was what you're getting from Sam Bennett. These guys are playing number 2 center. Paid roughly the same, Kokoniemi slightly more. And Kokoniemi, I understand is a little bit of a younger player, but not that much younger.
No.
And he's had plenty of postseason play, plenty of opportunity. This is not a Jesperi Kokoniemi bashing, more or less a pointing out what the Canes need to get. Now, I don't know if the Florida Panthers are going to win the Stanley Cup this postseason. I don't know. Obviously, no one does. I predicted that the Edmonton Oilers are going to win this one in 6. But Sam Bennett's the kind of player that you got to have on your team. Again, he's not going to put up sexy regular season numbers, but the money that you pay him, if you can sign him and bring him back, it's about April, May, and June. That's where you make your money with this guy. Because if he can put his name on the cup underneath Carolina Hurricanes, then every dollar's worth it. If he even hits free agency. Because Florida, believe it or not, Victoria, Florida has the cap space to possibly bring him back.
Yeah.
They really do.
And that, sure they're hoping for that.
I know, right?
Of course.
If you're them, of course. You're going to do everything you can to try and keep him because you can give him 8 years. If he goes free agency, he can only get 7. Hey, we're going to give you that 8th year. Hey, we'll throw in like a no move clause for the first 5 years, whatever it is that you want to do.
Get a parking space.
Exactly. They want to keep that window as open as long as possible with the core that they have right now. They're built to win right now and over the next few years. Because Lundell is signed through 2029. Barkov's under contract through 2030. Tkachuk is under contract through 2030. Sam Reinhart is under contract through 2032. Carter Verhaeghe under contract till 2023. And then even other guys like Eetu Luostarinen, Evan Rodriguez, Jesper Boquist, these guys have are under contract for another couple of years, but their core guys up front are under contract through at least 2029, 2030. And these guys are 27, 28, 29 years old. These are their prime years. That's your competition in the Eastern Conference. That's what Carolina has to look to. And that's the team you have to beat. That's the team that you have to beat. And even on the back end, Seth Jones, Gustav Forsling, these guys are under contract for the next 5, 6, 7 years. And they can even possibly re-sign Aaron Ekblad. Now, there's also a couple guys that might be due a contract extension and stuff here or there coming up in the future, but nonetheless, they can keep that core group of guys together, and Sam Bennett is a big part of that. Now, if he becomes available, if I'm Carolina, I'm going after that guy. If he becomes available, I'm going after that guy. But guess what? So is every other team in the league. You better be ready to pay that price to get that guy, because he pays the price in the postseason to win.